Cars Channel News and Review Car.
(2017) Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio First Drive Review. Cracking off shifts of the ZF 8-speed automatic with the column-mounted aluminum paddle shifters, the 505 horsepower turbocharged 2.9-liter V6 snarling like a staked pit bull, and railing up the fast, heavy G-loading of Turn 1 at Sonoma. The 2017 Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio tucks in and rotates with an alacrity that borders on alarming, especially if you've engaged the rather permissive slip angles of race mode via the console-mounted DNA drive selector. It's a revelation for a luxury sports sedan, and a welcome one. The Giulia Quadrifoglio is a driver's car in a way that the BMW M3 and even the mighty Mercedes-AMG C63S simply can't match, even though Alfa has made some decidedly odd choices along the way. First among the odd choices for the Giulia is the complete absence of a manual transmission from the American market. That's right, even though it's offered in Europe, the product planners for the US just don't think it makes sense to offer the manual, even on the Quadrifoglio, because no one would buy it. When asked, Alfa's reps claim a mere 1.0% of buyers would even be interested, never mind the fact that sales figures for many other enthusiast-targeted cars in America include plenty of manual gearboxes. But whatever the ultimate figure would be for Alfa's latest offering, an outright refusal to even offer the manual option is a bizarre choice for a car that's all about passion and ensuring the driver drives the car, rather than the car driving the driver, a criticism Alfa lobs at its competition often and pointedly. The next odd choice for a car that's ostensibly all about the experience is the brake-by-wire system. Rather than the driver pressing a pedal that directly actuates the hydraulics that clamp brake pads to rotors, the Giulia, both standard variants and the hot Quadrifoglio, has a rubber block to simulate pedal feel and an electronic sensor that detects pedal movement, then translates this to a computer signal that activates the brakes for you, applying pressure to the carbon ceramic discs according to some algorithm. The Quadrifoglio does get a stiffer rubber feel simulator and shorter pedal travel than the standard Giulia, giving it somewhat more appropriate feel on track or in spirited driving. But there's still a notable disconnect between the car's braking behavior and any sort of feel through the pedal. 2017 Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio First Drive Review Page 2. That lack of feel continues to the steering, which despite a brilliantly quick 11.8:1 ratio, is almost entirely devoid of anything resembling information about what the tire's contact patch is actually doing at the road surface. Because of the very quick steering ratio, and the car's staggered 245/35 19-inch front tires and 285/30 19-inch rears, it's easy for the driver to induce understeer with too quick movement of the hands at turn-in, with trailing brake at corner entry, or with too early power at corner exit. Driven hard, with only the minimal driver aids of race mode engaged, the Giulia Quadrifoglio is a willing companion that's held back only by its relative lack of front grip. But will it oversteer? Oh my, yes. In fact, the Giulia Quadrifoglio is one of the most controllable, enjoyable new cars on the road when it comes to getting and staying sideways, whether on dry, sticky pavement or rain-slicked roads. The 505 horsepower and 443 pound-feet of torque are delivered in a decidedly non-linear way, ramping slowly to 4,000 revolutions per minute or so, then rapidly shooting for the stars and its 191 miles per hour top speed. The close-spaced gears, through fifth gear, at any rate, enhance the tractability of the engine, seeking to keep you in the sweet spot for maximum thrust. The sudden surge of power gives the relatively small turbo V6 a great deal of character, and also makes braking the rear loose a trivial endeavor. But in race mode, though the dash will warn you escape is off, there's a sort of two-stage safety net. It will let you play, up to a point, before it halts the progress of your slide and does its best to keep you at that angle, without shutting you down and pulling you straight. No fun police here, just some welcome and capable escorts. Back off the hoon's antics, and drive the Giulia Quadrifoglio properly, however, and everything comes together in concert. You don't notice the lack of steering feel, just the car's nearly instantaneous and telepathic turn-in. You don't notice the lack of brake feel, just the slight sense of urgency when the car's speed and weight overcome the grip available at the front tires, and you don't notice the lack of a manual transmission, or even a proper dual-clutch automatic as the paddles deliver precise, sub-100 millisecond shifts with no unasked-for upshifts or downshifts, ever. All you notice when piloting the Quadrifoglio toward the limits of adhesion is the remarkably neutral balance, the rapid surge of power, and the ache in your cheeks as you smile continuously from green flag to checker. If anything, the claimed 3.8 seconds 0 to 60 miles per hour time feels conservative. For those who might want something a bit different from the German, Japanese, and American offerings in the segment, but don't need or crave the 505 horsepower Quadrifoglio, the same core competence of the chassis can be found in the regular Giulia models, and in what will probably become the sweet spot model of the line, the Giulia T with the sport package. Nimble handling, quick steering, and a punchy 280 horsepower, 306 pound-foot turbocharged 2.0-liter four-cylinder make quick work of any back road, as well as the speed limit, hitting 60 miles per hour in just 5.1 seconds and a top speed of 149 miles per hour. After just a few short hours of road time and a baker's dozen of laps around the track, it's hard to say how the Giulia will hold up in the daily grind. Both the Quadrifoglio and the four-cylinder models are perhaps too stiff for some in daily use, but when it comes to outright fun, driver engagement, and the sheer joy of driving, the Giulia Quadrifoglio stands at the very top of the segment, right alongside its record-setting 7:32 Nürburgring Nordschleife lap time. Maybe those odd choices weren't so odd after all. The 2017 Alfa Romeo Giulia range is due in showrooms by the end of 2016. Pricing is yet to be confirmed, but Alfa Romeo has stated that the Quadrifoglio will start around $70,000. The gestation of the Alfa Romeo Giulia has been as complicated as the plotline of an Italian telenovela, with its development, or seeming lack thereof, occurring in parallel with Alfa's ambition to return to the United States. It has been a decade since then Fiat CEO Sergio Marchionne first promised to bring the Italian brand back here, with Fiat's merger with Chrysler in 2009 offering an obvious shortcut to making it happen. The original plan was for the Giulia to use the same corporate compact wide platform as the Dodge Dart and the Chrysler 200. Fortunately, this was nixed, and Alfa instead developed a new rear-wheel drive platform mostly by itself. The production Giulia made its debut in mid-2015, and the car finally will reach the US late this year as a 2017 model. It's here, it's really here. But before that happens, the journalists must have their turn, and we've just driven several Giulias at a launch event held both on and near FCA's vast test track at Bellocco in Italy. While most of the powertrains we drove had no relevance to the U.S. A 2.1-liter turbo diesel, for example, the Quadrifoglio and its 2.9-liter twin-turbocharged V6 and BMW M3 beating 505 horsepower are of definite import to Americans. Non-Quadrifoglio US spec Giulias will be powered by a 276 horsepower turbocharged four-cylinder engine, but none were on hand at the event. The official line is that the Quadrifoglio engine is inspired by Ferrari technology and technical skills. Essentially, it's a six-cylinder sister to the Ferrari F154 twin-turbo V8s that power the Scuderia's 488 GTB and California T, and a cousin to the engine that powers the Maserati Quattroporte GTS. In the Alfa, peak power occurs at 6,500 revolutions per minute, while the limiter is set to 7,250 revolutions per minute. The V6 drives the Quadrifoglio's rear wheels through either a 6-speed manual or an 8-speed automatic gearbox and a torque vectoring rear differential. Only the manual will be available at launch in the US, the 8-speed will come later. Caveats: Alfa would only let us try the Quadrifoglio on Balocco's handling course, with the straights broken up by temporary chicanes to make sure we couldn't try to validate the claimed 190 mph top speed. Our time in the car also was limited because more than 50 journalists were waiting to drive one of just 4 Quadrifoglios on hand, meaning the lines were like those you might find waiting for the best ride at an amusement park. Fortunately, our elbows are the sharpest in the business, so we got to experience both manual and automatic versions of the Quadrifoglio. Visual menace, dynamic goodness. The Quadrifoglio certainly is not lacking in visual aggression. The basic Giulia can come across as a little timid, but the top-spec model gets a muscular reworking that includes an active front splitter plus an equally serious-looking diffuser at the back. Weight is reduced by carbon fiber materials for the hood, roof, and drive shaft, with all Giulias also getting aluminum front fenders and doors. Alfa's claimed 3,359 pound weight includes no fluids. Our best estimate is that the car will be roughly 3,600 pounds, but the